That level's really fun. I really like that. Okay. So yeah, basically I'm gonna go through my life story real fast. So I beat Helios like literally yesterday, and that's supposed to be. I might do Furia 500 tomorrow because when I beat it before I didn't record it. But Helios was supposed to be my last like extreme demon, thinking like, oh, this can be the final send off for Geometry Dash before I go to college, and it wasn't. It was pretty disappointing. The gameplay was really good, but it wasn't play tested, and yeah, I have a video on my channel where I whine for like 10 minutes, so that's awesome. And then I'm like kind of upset because like that was the last thing I'll do in Geometry Dash for like 2 months. What the fuck? And then like this level got sent down from the heavens because I didn't know it existed until like today. Obviously, I'm trying to do all the Reta levels, and like this is good enough quality to be on the list, as in it is not a recent tab level with a J-pop song. So I played it, and this is honestly one of my favorite Reta levels I played. It looks kind of jank, like watching the gameplay and first playing through it, but it gets really consistent, which is insane how these creators will make like the goofiest gameplay of all time and have it be like the most consistent thing you've ever played. So yeah, that's my experience with that. Before I say anything else, this level is probably easy-ish extreme demon difficulty. The creator says that this is insane demon difficulty, like high-end insane. I'd say that's bullshit. It's close. There is an argument for that because I beat it in like a day. It's really not that bad, but a lot of the gameplay, especially the fact that it's really high CPS, I just can't imagine it being comparable to something like The End or like Ulan or something, which are both like really high-end insane demons. So it's probably in that extreme demon range. If anything, just because if this was an insane demon, literally nobody would ever play this because it's so much harder than other insane demons. I'm gonna go through each part now. The first part, it looks really nice. My one like critique decoration-wise is the block design could have had a bit more detail, because it zooms in a lot, and you can see the fact that for some of the parts there isn't that much going on other than just a single color. So I don't know, maybe some like gradient, some smaller details could have made the part look a bit better just because it's so zoomed in. The best part of the pre-drop, in my opinion, is the background. This goes for the level as a whole, pretty much. The backgrounds are really nice. A lot of really good use of parallax to make some like really deep like backgrounds and stuff like that. Really nice landscapes. Yeah, just awesome job. It looks so good. And the gameplay in the pre-drop is, there's nothing wrong with it. It is like significantly easier than the drop, which makes sense. Like it would be better for the drop to be the hardest part than the pre-drop, obviously. It could be a bit too easy. Like the drop is around like Shukufuku difficulty, I'd say, when the pre-drop is like low to mid insane demon, which like they could have been a bit closer in difficulty, but the way it is right now is fine, just because it's the pre-drop. The next part of the level, the block design looks really nice. Pretty bright, pretty colors. The background isn't as, I want to say it isn't as good as the first part. That's just because it is a lot darker. So there could be just as much detail, I just can't see it. Which I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Like it fits the part up better than if it were to be some bright, super detailed background. It's more of like this part is a lot more emphasis on the block design, which is perfectly fine. Yeah, the gameplay here is also really fun. It is really learny, obviously, that goes through the entire drop in this level. It is Wazureta styled, where it's high CPS, like clicking, not necessarily music synced, but there is a connection that makes it really satisfying to play. So yeah, really learny, but really fun once you learn it. Moving on, the next part, it looks a bit weaker compared to the previous two parts. That's just like a subjective thing. I say it's weaker, but it's really not like that much worse. It's honestly just personal preference at this point. The colors look good. Pretty much the same can be said throughout the entire level. I like how this level decided to take the risk of being blue instead of purple, like all the other Reta levels. This part, yeah, the gameplay is probably a bit jankier than the previous parts, but it's nothing that's like a problem. Again, this part is probably overall a bit worse than the previous parts, but it's like it's not that big of a difference. Okay, the part after that also kind of looks similar to the part before, where I like it a bit less than the previous parts, but it plays really well. Yeah, it is a bit of a pain in the ass to learn, especially towards the end, because there are two like short wave clicks, and the second one, if you click it too early, the gameplay after it will be a lot more difficult and janky. So just, I'm specifically talking about that short mini wave towards the end of the part. Just click that on the later side, and the part after will work well. The other issue I have with the end is that there is like a transition that kind of clashes with the final wave part, and it's hard to see what you're doing, so you're basically just going off of muscle memory for the last wave click, which can be kind of annoying. Not that much of a problem. It just, like, you die there and it's like, what the fuck, but still. A lot of, like, deaths in this level, like, honestly, it's one of those levels that's fun enough where it's like, you die and it's like, oh, boo-hoo, I get to play the level again. Like, it's not that big of a deal. The part after that, the block design is okay, but once again, the background is really nice. Yeah. The gameplay is really decent here as well. I noticed that there is one hitbox that is fucking peculiar, but other than that, I didn't really notice anything wrong with it. There would be some times where the camera moves a bit far to the left, and like it will like be a lot harder to like read the parts coming up. I'll discuss this when I talk about the camera controls, like after I go through each part, but it's really hard to like time like some of the wave clicks when you're all the way on the right of the screen. But yeah, overall the gameplay in this part is, I know I just complained about one small thing, but overall the gameplay is pretty good. Yeah, the final part is by far the easiest. I looked at like old versions of this level, and this part was nerfed a lot, which is fair. I don't know if I would have wanted to have this like super tight ship section after the entire level. I feel like it's a bit too easy. I basically never died here. Gameplay is just flying. It's nothing like spectacular, but at the same time, it does absolutely nothing wrong. It's actually nice how this level has this like gameplay at the end. I don't think I've ever seen a Reta level do that before, because their entire gimmick is to be short as shit. So yeah, again, the background looks spectacular. So yeah, that's all the parts in this level. Really fun shit. One thing that I will touch up on before I end the video is the camera control. So obviously this is a 2.2 level, and it has camera controls, like basically throughout the entire level. I feel like this is a really good use of camera controls, and people should like use this as a good example. I'm not saying it's like perfect, but yeah, if you're gonna use camera controls, do it like this, where there's some zoom in, zoom out, some like minor camera rotating, but it's like nothing abrasive or anything. So and especially since this level is entirely like muscle memory click pattern based, it really doesn't matter too much what's going on screen, as long as it's not like invisible or something and like you can still see it's fine. And you have a lot more liberty to do what you want with camera controls than like a timing level or something like that. Again, like I said before, sometimes I feel like the camera would zoom in too much, and sometimes your icon would be too far to the right of the screen that you can't really time clicks coming up easily. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to camera controls being used like that yet, and my eyes are like looking at this one part of the screen, and I just have to like look an inch to the right. But yeah. So yeah, that is like the smallest nitpick I have with the camera controls. But otherwise, I feel like they were done really well, and honestly adds a lot to the level. The last thing I will mention regarding the camera controls is that RobTop seems to rate a bunch of levels that he otherwise probably wouldn't, that have a bunch of 2.2 stuff in them, and that includes just a lot of camera controls, which this level has. I'm not saying this level is below rate standards, but just RobTop has a strong bias against levels like these. Honestly, it's probably more me having a bias for them, but, you know, whatever it is, he doesn't rate them a lot, so hopefully this is one of the exceptions that gets rated, because it uses camera controls well. So, yeah, that's my review. I've been recording for like an extra 10 minutes. I'll leave it at that. So, yeah, goodbye.